This is the Emotional Vocabulary series by Duenas. Today we will address the emotion of hostile or hostility. What makes us feel antagonistic toward others, and how can we diffuse hostility? Let's explore the roots of hostility, its causes, impacts, and how to transform it into understanding. Introduction. Hostility is an intense emotional state characterized by antagonism, resentment, or aggression toward others. While it often arises as a defense mechanism, prolonged hostility can damage relationships, mental health, and social harmony. Understanding hostility and its triggers is essential for fostering empathy and emotional regulation. Including this emotion in our vocabulary helps us address its impacts constructively, transforming antagonism into understanding. Definitions. Layman's definition. Hostility is the feeling of animosity or antagonism toward others, often driven by anger, frustration, or distrust. Clinical definition. Hostility refers to a psychological and behavioral state characterized by aggression, resentment, or antagonism toward others, often perceived as a response to real or imagined threats. Perception and expression in everyday contexts. Hostility is expressed through aggressive language, defensive behaviors, or a lack of cooperation. It reflects underlying feelings of anger, fear, or insecurity. Origins. Evolutionary roots. Hostility evolved as a defensive strategy to protect resources, territory, and social bonds in early human groups. Cultural dimensions. Cultural norms influence how hostility is expressed or suppressed. In some societies, hostility is stigmatized, while in others, it may be seen as a necessary response to threats. Biological mechanisms. Hostility involves heightened activity in the amygdala and reduced prefrontal cortex regulation. Elevated levels of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline accompany hostile states. Effects of hostility on psyche. Prolonged hostility erodes mental health, contributing to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression. On daily life. Hostility influences habits, such as avoiding social interactions or escalating conflicts. On family and friends. This emotion creates tension and mistrust in relationships, often requiring active repair. In the workplace. Hostility undermines teamwork and productivity, fostering a toxic work environment. On freedom. Unchecked hostility limits personal freedom by fostering isolation and strained social connections. Examples. Personal story. A friend feels hostile after being left out of a group event, but learns to express their feelings constructively, strengthening the relationship. Societal behavior. Hostility between rival sports teams often escalates into aggressive confrontations. Historical event. The Cold War reflected prolonged hostility between nations, influencing global politics and culture. Challenges in mental health dealing with hostility. Hostility contributes to mental health challenges like chronic stress, anxiety, and strained relationships. When unresolved, it fosters social isolation and limits personal growth. Management and mitigation. Strategies. Therapy. CBT helps address underlying causes of hostility and develop healthier, coping mechanisms. Mindfulness practices. Techniques like meditation and deep breathing reduce physiological arousal. Conflict resolution training. Learning effective communication fosters empathy and understanding. Resources. books on managing anger and hostility, support groups for emotional regulation, counseling services for addressing chronic hostility. Conclusion: hostility is a natural but challenging emotion that reflects our need for self-preservation and justice. By understanding its roots and impacts, individuals can transform hostility into understanding and empathy. Emotional intelligence around hostility empowers us to navigate conflicts constructively, fostering healthier relationships and greater personal fulfillment. This was the emotion of hostile or hostility from the Emotional Vocabulary series by Duenas.